Welcome or welcome back to A Better Choice Homestead. My name is Kelly, and on my channel, I focus on food, growing it, preparing it, and preserving it. I do 3 videos a week. On Tuesdays, I do a Cook With Me segment called Tasty Tuesday. I have a playlist for that. On Fridays, I have a segment called Freeze Dry Friday. I have a playlist for that. And on Sundays, I usually do something garden or harvest related. And today is going to be one of those videos. Today, I went and picked the rest of my dragon tongue bush beans, and this is a lot of beans. It's more than we can eat just by storing them in the refrigerator, so I've got to get them preserved. Now, I did do a canning video recently on beans, and I included some of the dragon tongues in there, but this is my first year growing them, and I haven't opened those jars yet, so I'm not sure how they turned out. We're going to go ahead and get these blanched, and then we're going to flash freeze them. And then we are going to store them in the freezer. And if I end up needing the space, I can pop them into the freeze dryer. But I certainly don't want to let all of these babies go to waste. So let's get preserving some dragon tongue bush beans. I've got a pot of water coming to a boil here on the stove. I've got a deeper pot with ice cold water in it to do a polar plunge for when these come out of the hot bath so that it stops the cooking process. So dragon tongue bush beans are pretty cool. These are an heirloom variety. They're a wider bean, and they have really cool purple streaks on them. So they're a yellow bean with purple colorings. They're really cool looking. They're a really good source of fiber. They're a really good source of plant protein, and they're tasty. We were eating these fresh out of the garden while the first plants were coming to maturity, and then I canned some of those. So this is the rest of them. This is all that I have, and I don't remember how many plants this was, maybe 12 plants. But again, this was such a weird year for growing. We went from drought to torrential rain, from hot to freezing cold. So it's just been an anomaly of a year. But I definitely want to get these preserved, and there's not a lot of content out there on how to do it. So I'm going to try the blanching method, and then I'm going to put them on a baking sheet with parchment paper. I've got a couple sheets here because I think that we're going to need at least 2, maybe 3 layers. Then I'm going to pop these into the freezer overnight, and then bring you back tomorrow when I package them up. I like to flash freeze things in a single layer so they don't all stick together through the freezing process, and that way I can just grab out as many beans as I want for dinner. Once these are frozen, I should be able to pull them out and just put them in a pan to saute them, drizzle them with some olive oil or maybe some hot chili oil, a little bit of salt and pepper, and they should be good to go. This is going to go pretty quick. It's going to be about 3 to 4 minutes in the water bath. I'm not doing too many beans at once. I could be doing it in the bigger pot, but that's just going to take longer to come up to a boil. So I'm going to do this slowly and then get them cooled off. And I have to have time to lay them out anyway because I'm doing this in layers. So I'm just going to start dropping these by the handful into the pot until I can't fit any more in. And once that comes up to a boil, I'll do them for 3 minutes, test them, and as long as they feel tender crisp, I'll call them done. So I think we can probably get these done in 2 boiling sessions. We're almost at capacity there. These do have a little bit of a unique flavor to them as compared to green beans. This one's really purple. This one's cool. They have a nuttier flavor. They're really good. They're fun colors. And I was surprised that they didn't green up. I still have my purple blawhide pole beans out there to harvest. They're not ready yet. And when you blanch or can those, they turn green. I was expecting these to do the same thing, but they didn't. They turned yellow. But the purple did go away in the canning process. We'll see if the purple goes away in the blanching process. Well, that answers that. 3 minutes under a boil and these turn yellow. So they do lose their purple streaks. I want to test one really quick. I want it to be kind of a small one because these are very hot. But dragon tongue bush beans are kind of big. I'm just going to snip off a little piece of this. Those are ready. They are tender, but they still have a little bit of a crispness to them. So we're going to get them into the cold water and repeat. And all I did to prepare these is wash them really well, because these are a bush bean, so they grow low to the ground and they have dirt on them. So I just washed them and snipped off the ends. All right, that's empty, so we can get the next batch in. All right, we have lost our boil because the beans are cold. So as soon as that comes up to a boil, I'm going to give those 3 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to get these drained and get ready to put them onto the baking sheet for the freezer. I poured the beans that were ready into the insert for this pan, which is a colander. So these are ready to lay out onto the parchment paper. But I have 2 layers, so I'm going to remove one for now. And I want to lay these out so that they're individual and not necessarily touching one another, so that they freeze totally separate and they'll be loose when I put them into like a Ziploc freezer bag. So I can grab out as many as I would like when I'm ready to use them. This is just starting to come back up to a boil, so I got to move quick. It's too bad they lose those purple streaks, but I wasn't surprised with the purple blah hides. I mean, those are really deep purple and they end up green when you cook them, and these ended up back to their yellow base color. They have a little bit of a green tint to them, so they're not solid yellow. Definitely going to need multiple layers of parchment paper. All right, time to get this water turned off and transfer the beans. All right, let me transfer these into the colander, get them drained, and we'll get these laid out. Voila. What did we get? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 layers of beans for the freezer. Let me give you a close-up. These look great. I'm not sure why this one kept some of its streaks and the rest of them did not, but I'm sure they're gonna be marvelous. I will bring you back tomorrow after these are frozen, and I'll show you how I'm gonna package these up. Again, this is my first year growing these, trying to figure out the best way to preserve them. We have fully frozen beans that are gonna be super easy to get into some Ziploc bags that I've already labeled. I've got 2 bags ready. That should be plenty. These peel right off of the parchment paper and they're so loose, it's gonna be easy to grab out just the right amount for any meal that I wanna make. And when I go to use these, I will just defrost them and then throw them into a skillet and saute them with probably a little bit of olive oil or some hot chili oil. One gallon. Almost 2 gallons. Here's the first bag and here's the second bag. And you can see how flash freezing them allows these beans to stay nice and loose. Flash freezing them on parchment paper really allowed them not to stick to the bottom of the pan to avoid breakage. These beans look great and they are going to be thoroughly enjoyed over the course of this winter. Thank you so much for joining me here at A Better Choice Homestead in my experiment with preserving dragon tongue bush beans. My name is Kelly, and I do hope that you come back and visit again soon.